Alright, guys. Man, this Elon and Trump drama has escalated and gone in a direction I did not expect. You see, I expected that both their egos constantly getting attacked would lead to them deciding that there's not enough room in DC for both of them, right? Like, that's kind of what we're trying to get them to. But we might end up tearing apart this whole MAGA coalition in a way that we didn't expect. It seems like the first fracture isn't between Elon and Trump, but between Trump and his supporters. Because with all this H-1B visa drama, for those that don't know, Elon Musk and his businesses rely heavily on H-1B immigrant workers. These are legal immigrants in America, but Republicans and MAGA, the voters, they hate all immigration. Trump and Elon and the entire MAGA administration and the right-wing media empire has polarized the majority of Americans to be in favor of mass deportations. Americans hate immigrants right now, despise them, and that is because of their own work to polarize America against them in order to vote for Trump. But now, all of these oligarchs that we have in our government, they don't actually want to stop those immigrants from coming in because they need them to guarantee good income. Elon Musk himself came out and said, we don't want to hire Americans. American workers suck at tech. We're bringing in immigrants because they're the best of the best, and that's what we want and need. We're not going to waste our money and resources on hiring shitty American programmers. Elon basically just came out to say Americans are dumb and racist, and said and agreed with that statement word for word, that he was saying that Americans are dumb and racist. This has led to MAGA getting fucking pissed. I cannot tell you. Twitter is on fire, guys. It's on fire. Twitter is mad. MAGA is pissed. It is an apocalypse right now. And so you would expect that Donald Trump would be loyal to his cult. That he would say, Elon Musk, I like the guy. I think he's usually a pretty smart guy. But right now, he's on some bullshit. He's on some bullshit about how H-1B visa where immigrants are fine for the country. They're not fine, Elon. They're not fine. Like, you expect him to say something like that and to go against Elon on this. But no, the fissure has not formed between Trump and Elon. Instead, it's between Trump and his supporters, because Trump has taken Elon's side. And it has resulted in even more chaos. And this is all the while, mind you, Elon is banning some of the most prominent MAGA accounts on Twitter, and others he's taking their check marks and monetization away, deboosting them and shadow banning them. It is a dumpster's fire right now. I've got an Adam Mockler video brought up about it, actually. So let's go ahead and give it a watch, huh? We like Adam Mockler here. He's probably my favorite Midas Touch guy. He's my favorite member of Midas Touch, in my opinion. He's my favorite. Let's watch.
Not expecting this. Trump just came out and made a statement and actually took a position on the H-1B visa debacle that's been splitting the MAGA fan base over the past few days. And honestly...
Oh yeah, that's true, Delancer. Elon Musk banned Nick Fuentes, or shadow banned Nick Fuentes, and banned all the Groypers. Like hundreds or thousands of accounts that have Groyp or Groyper in their name, or Goy in their name, G-O-Y, tends to be Groyper accounts too. All those accounts were just banned automatically for having it in the name, it seems. So Elon went on like a ban spree on Groypers, which is pretty fucking funny and based. Not for the right reasons, but still based.
I thought it would have been smart of him not to say anything. Just don't acknowledge it. But he took a position, and people are mad. Before we jump in, just look at the conservative subreddit. This is the r/conservative subreddit. In the comments, the top comment is horseshit. The next one says, because he sold out to big tech and the conservative movement in this country ate it up because he said there are only two genders. And the response says, bingo, politicians pulling the wool using...
That's what we tried to tell you. Listen, conservatives are conservative. When the left has been screaming at you for like 12 plus years, however long you've been online in politics, which is how long most of these people have been in politics, is 12 years at the most. When the left has been telling you, hey, Trump, Elon, and all these other people, they're just tech billionaires and millionaires who don't have the same interest as you working class people. They're just telling you there's only two genders to get you on their side so you'll vote against your best interests. We've been trying to tell them this. They've now had that realization. Do you think that they'll eventually, like, it'll lead them to the final realization that the left was telling them the truth all along? Like, do you think they'll be like, huh, who's been telling me exactly this all this time? Yeah, I don't think so either, Shadow Miner.
Social issues has been going on forever. It's not new. It's just that people never learn. So these people are starting to understand that Elon Musk donating $250 million to Donald Trump's campaign wasn't out of altruism. It wasn't out of love for the country. It's so that he could influence Donald Trump's policy when he got into office. So just to start from the beginning, first of all, this is called the Fell For It Again Award, and people with MAGA hats fall for this a lot.
It's a good meme.
The Fell For It Again Award, over and over and over. But I do want to start from the beginning, because back in 2016, Trump's position on H-1B visas was the exact opposite as it is now, and we'll tell you why. So in 2016, Trump said, quote, Megyn Kelly asked about highly skilled immigration. The H-1B program is neither high-skilled nor immigration. These are temporary foreign workers imported from abroad for the explicit purpose of substituting for American workers at lower pay. I remain totally committed to eliminating rampant, widespread H-1B abuse and ending outrageous...
Listen, Donald Trump had to say whatever he had to say to get elected. That's what it was all about. If you're a Trump supporter and you're watching this, just know he said what he needed to say to convince you, to trick you, I should say, into voting for him. If you think he's going to do any of the things, the good things that you were promised he would do, at least what you consider good, no. He's got his own agenda. This is real populism. Yeah, correct, Delancey. This is what populism actually is. It's when you lie and tell the people what they want to hear to gain power, and then do whatever the fuck you want when you actually have it. That is actually what populism is. Many people say that's just all politicians. No, not really. Donald Trump is by far the biggest overpromising and the least honest president that we've had in I think any time in American politics, but at least modern politics. Like genuinely to the point where there are websites that track the amount of lies that Trump has publicly told. And listen, there is a big difference between being wrong and telling a lie. The site knows that. It's only recording the blatant lies.
Just practices such as those that occurred at Disney in Florida when Americans were forced to train their foreign replacements. I will end forever the use of the H-1B as a cheap labor program and institute an absolute requirement to hire American workers first for every visa and immigration program. No exceptions. Again, this was on March 3rd of 2016, but 8 years later, he says the exact opposite. Let's jump to this New York Post article that just dropped an hour ago. Trump now supports the immigration visas backed by Elon Musk. He says, quote, I have many H-1...
None of these... So as much as these billionaires on the right will tell you immigration is bad for the economy and it's bad for the country, in order to polarize racist Americans, and Americans are very racist, very easy to use their racism to polarize them and motivate them to vote a certain way. So you use that to get them to vote for you. But when you're a billionaire business owner, you're never going to actually act on these lies. Like MAGA can say, but the immigrants are bad for the economy, they ruin the economy. The billionaire business owners know that it's not. They'll say that it is. They'll agree with you verbally that it is. But when it comes to running their businesses, they'll continue to hire those workers. When it comes to now that they're oligarchs who run the country, they will refuse to eliminate that program that they promised to eliminate, that you wanted them to eliminate. Because as much as they're willing to say it's bad for the rhetoric, it was always a lie. And they're not willing to shoot themselves in the foot financially to keep the lie looking real, or to act on what they claim the lie is.
H-1B visas on my properties, which leads me to wonder, You have highly skilled immigrants doing gardening on your properties. That's not what H-1B visas are for, but let's keep going. President-elect Trump told the Post Saturday he supports immigration visas for highly skilled workers.
Why is there Pornhub on the bottom of the screen? Probably because the New York Post article is about the Pornhub ban in Florida and Texas.
Appearing to side with Elon Musk in the roiling intro-MAGA debate. So this is what Trump said, quote, "I've always liked the visas. I have always been in favor of the visas. That's why we have them," Trump said by phone, referring to the H-1B program, which permits companies to hire foreign workers. He then said, quote, "I have many H-1B visas on my properties. I've been a believer in H-1B. I've used it many times. It's a great program." This dude is insufferable to read.
Come on, Adam. You gotta do an impression anytime he talks. It's always a fun excuse.
I have many H-1B visas on my properties. I've been a believer in H-1B. I've used it many times, many times. Great program.
I've used it many times. It's a great program. This dude is insufferable to read off his quotes. But Musk and other tech barons argued this week that the H-1B visa program is critical to ensuring American companies can find highly skilled labor, which may not be easily available in the U.S. But you guys see that Trump has completely flip-flopped his position over the past 8 years. And what's the new variable that was introduced over the past year or so? Well, it's Elon Musk and David Sachs and the tech bros that single-handedly funded his re-election campaign. They're clearly trying to tip the scale in favor of their own.
Listen, the only thing that will save our economy during Trump's presidency is if all these tech bros are like, okay, so Trump, we can't let you do those tariffs. Like, we can't let you do it. Like you will literally kill all of our businesses. We can't let you. Sorry, buddy. We can't do that. Sorry.
Own policy preferences. And you guys remember a few months back when Trump said he has no choice but to back EVs after the Elon Musk endorsement, which just shows that he's beholden to his biggest donors. But just to take a step back, why does Elon Musk support H-1B visas? I mean, we do as well. We want highly skilled immigrants to come over so we can brain drain other countries and have the strongest America possible. But Elon Musk's positions are diametrically opposed because on one hand, he wants to increase...
You got to remember, by the way, these H-1B visa workers that are coming over specifically to work in tech, especially, they're the best of the best. Like, it takes a lot to qualify for that. You have to be very, very skilled. You have to be a very high-quality worker. And so these companies, people like Elon, do not want to axe this program and cut off the flow of the world's best workers in these fields, all wanting to live and work in America at American companies in the tech world, right? Like, this is bad for them. Of course, banning outsourcing, or not banning outsourcing, I should say tariffing the fuck out of it, and tariffing inputs as well. These big oligarchs don't want that either. I'm really interested to see how much strife there's going to be between these oligarchs and Trump, because how much does he really want to keep his people happy? Is he actually going to do those tariffs he's promising? He keeps saying he's going to do them despite not needing to keep those promises or promise anything anymore. He's going to take office. Like, he's going to get sworn in. He won the election already. So apparently he's still going to do it. And so I think there's going to be a lot of strife between him and his oligarch administration, because they're not going to want him to nuke the economy that they need to be healthy to succeed in.
Increase highly skilled labor, but also decrease the amount of education funding that Americans get. So just think about this. If we are defunding the Department of Education and defunding education for Americans, we will have less innovators, less engineers, less of these geniuses that Elon Musk wants to produce. So he'll have to rely more and more on highly skilled immigrants, which he can then pay less or work longer hours and justify that. And MAGA hardliners are furious about this. Let's look at some of the comments. Ashley St. Clair, who has been at Mar-a-Lago a lot over the past few months, is a big Trump supporter, said, disastrous response. Disastrous response. And let's read some of the comments. I mean, the top comment here says, doesn't sound like America first. The next one says, they're replacing hardworking Americans.
It's interesting how, for those of you guys that don't know, because it's become so normalized and it's been a while, America first was Nick Fuentes's catchphrase. Like, that's the Nazi catchphrase that Nick Fuentes popularized. And it caught on within MAGA especially once Trump repeated it after having lunch at Mar-a-Lago with Nick Fuentes, that now it's part of Trump's campaign slogan. Trump borrowed America First from Nick Fuentes. That was purely, like, if you heard someone say America First, that's literally the name of Nick Fuentes' show, by the way, you knew they were a graper. Now, it's just part of Trump's entire, like, rhetoric, right? They're like, that doesn't sound very America First.
Americans with cheap labor. This isn't great for America. The next one says, Trump also said...
Yes, America First does originate from the American Nazi Party, but it was popularized to the point that you're seeing it coming from Trump and his entire party and campaign by Nick Fuentes. For years, it was the thing that you, like, if you heard someone say it, they were a graper.
He is completely against them and the rampant abuse. So what's going on? A favor for a favor? And then they show the quote that I just read, where he's talking about Megyn Kelly. So these people are now pointing out, is it a favor for a favor? Did the richest man in the world fund Trump's campaign, not out of altruism, but maybe to maximize his own profits? Yeah, maybe. Ashley St. Clair then said, Trump said he has tons of H-1B workers on his properties. His property workers have J-1 visas. John Levin is an idiot and a hack for calling Trump with no context and zero follow-up questions. So she's blaming it. She's trying to blame it on the reporter.
Remember, Trump is graded on a curve. It's never his fault. That's one of the biggest rules of MAGA. Nothing bad that Trump does or nothing that makes Trump look objectively bad is ever his fault. It's rule number one.
Genuinely trying to blame the president-elect's comments on the reporter that interviewed him when Trump said verbatim, I've always liked the visas. I've always been in favor of them, which, by the way, is a lie. I just read a comment showing you the exact opposite. How can you be so far gone that you're trying to blame it on the reporter and you're taking all agency away from the president-elect? Earlier today, Charlie Kirk went off on Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy because they've been pushing for more H-1B visas or more highly skilled workers. And I want to know what he's going to say after this, because this schism is only going to get bigger after Daddy Trump spoke. Let's watch this clip.
This is a violation of our social contract. And it sounds good. Let's just let more H-1B workers in. But what about the 23-year-old that went to University of Washington and studied computer science at the UW Computer Science Department? Shouldn't he be given preference above someone who could do the work for far less? It is about priorities, and it's not about what Charlie Kirk wants.
The fact is, like the vast majority of workers in the tech industry are not as good as the, like, if let's say you've got the top 1% of skill and talent work, like people who have like gone to school and are now entering the world of tech, right? And this is happening all over the world. Now, if you cut off all immigrant worker input into America, you're forced to accept not just the 1% best coders and you know workers in this field from America, but let's say also the 50%, the best 50%, which means you're kind of dipping pretty low. Like you're hiring a lot of people that are not like all that great at the job you need them to do, right? But how it currently works is that they can pull from the top 1% of skilled workers in every country in the world, relatively. I mean, not every country, but most countries in the world, and bring them to America and get them set up to work for them. The fact is that none of these companies want to brain drain themselves by axing their access to foreign talent. It's a death knell. It's a bad idea. None of them want this.
It's not about what other people want out there. And I have friends on both sides of this debate. It's very simple. It's what the American people wanted. And the American people overwhelmingly voted for less immigration and the prioritization of the American children and the American worker, not the American oligarch.
Ooh, Charlie Kirk himself said, not the American oligarch. The American people did not vote for an oligarchy. He's directly referring to Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk.
They did. Come on. Like, they did. They did, though. Like, they literally did, though. Like, objectively, they did. Did they knowingly vote for oligarchy? No. I don't think the majority of Americans knowingly voted for oligarchy. I think the left and I think that the opposition to Trump in general, not the left, I feel like that's too hyper specific and it sounds blamey. I think everyone in opposition of Trump failed in disseminating the information that needed to be disseminated. I think one of my biggest frustrations to this day is that when conservatives ask Kamala Harris supporters what policy they like from Kamala Harris, or even just to name one Kamala Harris policy, a lot of them can't name even one. I don't think this is Kamala Harris's fault at all. She was talking about her policy all the time. But the media didn't really focus on it much. And the way she talked about it, maybe it wasn't as compelling. Maybe she didn't focus on the points that were the most important. But it's just, I don't know, man. It's weird. I can't remember her policies now. Well, off the top of my head, $2,000 tax credit, expanding the Affordable Care Act. What else? Giving more funding to veterans for their health care. Just basically more of Biden's policies, right? It's unfortunate that so many of Kamala Harris's plans weren't really talked about, and even a lot of her supporters didn't know much. And it was like, it kind of makes sense that Trump was able to run along with the idea that he actually had the policy to fix the country when so few really knew what Kamala Harris stood for. And I think a lot of that really comes down to the fact that she only had 100 days to campaign.
The billionaires. So this leads me to wonder, what is Charlie Kirk going to say now? Is he going to say that Trump isn't prioritizing the American worker because he came out in support of H-1B visas? Is he going to call out the hypocrisy and call out the fact that Trump had a completely opposite stance 8 years ago? And again, I just want to ask the question, why did Trump flip over the past 8 years? What was a new variable? We already broke that down. It is very clearly Elon Musk. And the thing that I love about us is that we can take a nuanced position on this and say, hey, we should be draining the best and brightest from other countries. That's how we remain competitive on the global stage. And that's what makes America great already. But at the same time, we need to prioritize funding education domestically so we can have our own innovators, our own engineers, and people that can push the country forward. So right now, Trump's base is splintering. We can go over some more comments, but again, what is Charlie Kirk going to say about this? You know that Laura Loomer is going to be pissed off. Ann Coulter, for example, has been relentlessly pushing back, and these people have audiences. Even Steve Bannon himself just implied that Elon Musk is abusing his kid or whatever, because Elon Musk said in a tweet,
dude, the second you do what these people don't like, they will go vicious against you. You will go from being a god to them to target number one, that they will accuse you of being a pedophile. They will swat you. They might try to kill you. These people will eat you alive if you go from being someone they like to someone they hate. I genuinely would rather be the most hated by right-wingers lefty that there is than be a conservative pundit who's had the right turn on them. Those guys get it the worst. They do not give what they consider traitors to their movement an easy go of things.
the reason I'm in America, along with so many critical people who built SpaceX, Tesla, and hundreds of other companies that made America strong.
By the way, hilarious thing, Steve Bannon ran an illegal gold farm in China for WoW back in the day. Like he had like a facility in China where people would play WoW all day, likely on druids, like using macros to target and then cast like that one like AoE ability that like insta cast, doesn't matter what direction you're in, then like view, you just like send a star, like a moon laser down, and you just like loot all of the items off of like the like low level mobs, and then you vendor it all and you get a shitload of gold, and then you like pull it all up on some like separate character / account, and then they've got a website where people buy gold for real money, which is cheating, by the way, and against the rules, but Blizzard doesn't do enough to stop it, and they cheat they buy gold they didn't work for from people. Usually these farms are running like bots. Like, really, the people in them are operating and maintaining bots that are running through the game. That's how they're done these days. But Steve Bannon literally owned and operated one of these illegal facilities in China. Before he was even part of the Trump administration, this happened.
Is because of H-1B. Take a big step back and fuck yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue. And Steve Bannon, one of Trump's close allies and campaign managers, said, "Someone please notify Child Protective Services. You need to do a wellness check on his toddler." What is Steve Bannon saying here? All because Elon Musk came out in favor of H-1B visas. So again, just to loop back, the MAGA fan base is splintered on this, but
it makes you wonder, did they really think that Elon was a danger to his children before and just didn't care until he disagreed with them? The answer is, honestly, that wouldn't surprise me if it was the case. It wouldn't surprise me if they were fully cognizant of how much of a fucking creepo, weirdo, awful person Elon's been this whole time, and they just didn't care until he stopped being on their side.
wonder what are they going to say now that Daddy Trump came out and actually took a stance. Sean Strickland, who is an MMA fighter, is a crazy, crazy dude, said, "Billionaires are the problem. You put profits over people and patriotism. I'm not religious, but if there was a devil, he works through big business." He then says imported labor, devalued wages, hoard money.
Big business is how American conservative, super pro-capitalist types that can't deny that there are countless issues with capitalism in America cope to say that it's not like an issue with capitalism. It's big businesses. It's the big corporations that are the problem. And that is partially true on the surface, so you don't really like flinch when someone says that. But it's actually a way of directing the blame away from the system's lack of regulation and reform to ensure that it's, fair and not easily exploitable by sociopaths that want to do anything to get ahead and make money. And so it's copium. This is like when Americans don't want to accept that like capitalism has problems, they say it's big businesses, or they just blame big business. That's it.
Absolutely ruined the family unit for profit, massive wage gap. So again, he is saying you're out of touch. He is pushing back against the idea that we need H-1B visas. And I can almost guarantee this motherfucker is about to flip-flop over the next...
Companies get 2 to 3 visa employees for the cost of 1 American employee. Oh yeah, it's cheaper. For sure. They don't have to pay as much.
...day because of what Trump just said. So this brings us to the broader implications. Trump's alignment with billionaires like Elon Musk and David Sachs isn't a tactical move, it's a strategic shift that exposes the contradictions in MAGA. So they claim to fight for the forgotten American worker, the working class, but now its leader is cozying up to the billionaire class that profits off the very systems that hurts these everyday American workers. It's not just about immigration, this is actually about the soul of the movement. Is Donald Trump going to prioritize the average American worker or his tech bros, which it's not mutually exclusive, but it seems like he's leaning towards his tech bro donors. And here's the question we should be asking.
Now, to be clear, these H-1B programs are not really hurting American workers. For one, if we're talking about the tech industry and stuff, these are jobs that are not really being there's not as much desire from Americans to fill those positions as you would expect. We're still trying to catch up in terms of Americans trying to enter the field of tech and being skilled and good at it, right? And our standards are not all that high. And it's more expensive. So there's reasons why these companies don't want to prioritize or only limit themselves to American workers. But on top of that, outside of the H-1B program, when it comes to the broadest type of work immigration for what would be called low-skilled labor, these are jobs that are at most they're taken by native-born American high school dropouts, people who never graduated high school, because the jobs are that undesirable and would not be filled or done if we did not have those immigrants. These are just the realities of the situation. And wealthy businessmen are not going to nuke their own finances to keep up the act that immigration is bad. Like, sorry, MAGA, you're going to have to accept that the wealthy god kings that you threw all your support behind, who supposedly are these great businessmen, as you guys have been saying, they know that immigrants are not bad for the economy, like they've been telling you guys. And now their actions are proving it. We tried to tell you. We tried to tell you they're liars who will say anything to get your support because they only care about power, that they're maniacs. We tried to warn you when Trump refused to accept his defeat, and instead you guys accepted his cope and joined him, claiming the election must be faked, it must be rigged. Why is it rigged? Because Trump lost. Why was the 2024 election not rigged? Because Trump won. That is their logic. It's Joe Rogan's logic. I can tell you that. And that's how a lot of them think.
Asking, if MAGA can't even hold Trump accountable for this massive flip-flop over the past 8 years that they all fell for, remember, the Fell For It Again award, then what does the movement even stand for? Is it actually about economic populism and putting the American workers first, or is it just a hollow brand that is more focused on maintaining loyalty to Trump rather than holding on to the principles it was built on? And the principles that it was built on are this quote from 2016, which we don't agree with. I don't agree with this quote right here. I think that, number one, the H-1B program does get abused by certain corporations, but the idea that we need to axe it completely is also wrong. So just to go back to Trump's 2016 quote, he says, I remain totally committed to eliminating rampant, widespread H-1B abuse. He then says, I will end forever the use of the H-1B as a cheap labor program. Now, 8 years later, he has completely flipped, and MAGA is not happy. Like, I just went to the first response of this post, and it says, what a disgusting betrayal. Junior college gets you a citizenship. This is birthright citizenship 2.0. I'll leave it at that.
Birthright citizenship 2.0, as if birthright citizenship was 9/11 to them. He says it like it's 9/11 2.0. For those that don't know, birthright citizenship is you were born in America, so you're a citizen. They talk about that like it's 9/11 2. Or they talk about it like it's 9/11, or refer to this as if it's 9/11 2. That's, well, a pretty good insight into where Americans are at right now. Like, a good amount of Americans think that the birthright citizenship program or law should be abolished. They don't believe that if you're born in America, that should make you a citizen. A lot of Americans are like, why should that be the rule? And it has to do with the fact that, like, this is what you get, Trump and Elon. You have convinced your fanatical, insane cult followers that immigrants are dangerous, evil, and not the sole, but the largely responsible for all their financial problems, which are their biggest concern that they voted on, their biggest concern, period, in regards to politics. And now you've gone back on what you claim during your run for the presidency is the only solution to what you made up and convinced the majority of Americans was a problem. They built the fire, they threw gasoline on it, and now they're surprised that the whole forest is burning down. It's like, all right, and figure it out, buddy. Figure out what to do with that fire then. We're just gonna sit back and watch as you frantically try to put that shit out, because it's funny. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining or enjoyable, then please consider leaving a like and a comment. Every single thumbs up and comment, especially combined if you do both, really, really helps the channel immensely. In fact, it boosts every single video you do it on a lot in the algorithm and forces it in front of new people, new viewers that may become fast fans. So I really do appreciate everyone who goes out of their way to do that. It's totally free. And of course, subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications if you haven't already, so that YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video, because if you don't, they won't. And perhaps even follow my social medias, linked down below in the description if you want to see more from me on other platforms, including my Blue Sky and my fan Discord, where once a week on Fridays, I actually host gaming events, call-in streams, and or watch parties for you guys' enjoyment and entertainment. I really hope to see you guys there. And of course, If you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me financially through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me, though, as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.